Ooh, what it is. It's been a long time since I did a video. Probably, summer of last year, 2021. Hope everyone's having a good 2022. Honestly, the urge just kicked me. Kicked me to do one. Had the itch, so I'm going to scratch it. Got Earl Spence versus Dennis Ugas tomorrow for WBC, WBA, IBF welterweight titles. Unification class, the old school undisputed. I think the old school undisputed Zab Judah was the last one to have all three belts. It was either him or Corey Spinks. It was one of those two. Solid fight, Ugas beat the legend Manny Pacquiao last year. Pretty comfortably. A lot of people say, Pacquiao was just old. I think it was a little combination of both. I think Ugas made him look old while he did age. Pacquiao's a legend, so, nothing's going to tarnish that. But salute to Ugas, good fighter, I think the Cubans have now banned the restrictions, so they can actually compete for the Olympics and stuff like that. So, they can cross the border now, at least to fight and stuff like that. So, good for the Cubans. If Ugas is able to beat Earl Spence, I think he'll be the first 3 belt holder for their country's history, He's got a chance, a lot of people are not sure about Earl Spence physically, although he looks, really good physically. It's probably the best he's looked physically since Lamont Peterson. I think that was the last time he looked this good. Still don't really see the snap on his punch like he used to have. So I still think he is somewhat drained, but not badly. Now Earl Spence did say in an interview that he's only going to fight for 3 or 4 more years. That's not really shocking. He is 32 years old. I think that's kind of the trend in boxing anyway. Most fighters are going to try to retire in their mid-30s, 34, 36. So that's not, especially if, you've been paid well and stuff like that. So that's not too big of a shock. You got 3 kids, beautiful young lady. So, he's legitimately got a family. He's got a ranch. That's definitely going to keep you busy, keep him out of trouble. So that's good. But in terms of the fight, good matchup, Earl Spence, both Olympians, I think, or Dennis Ugas got a bronze medal. Solid resume, he fought Thomas Delorme, Jamal James, obviously Manny Pacquiao, Abel Ramos, Omar Figueroa, Sean Porter, obviously Pacquiao, Amir Iman. He's fought some solid fighters throughout the years. Very good resume. He did just fight a southpaw, so that stance is not going to be new to him. He kind of has a unique style. He's kind of a counter pressure fighter. Don't really see a lot of those. I think Roberto Duran was kind of the originator of that style. Guys who can walk you down but also counter and still put decent pressure on. I think Ugas is deceptively a strong fighter for the weight class. Both 5'9". Earl may be a hair taller, but not, it's the height difference is pretty marginal. They both 5'9". Earl's a hair taller. I think the main difference is the reach. I believe Ugas has a 69-inch reach. Earl Spence 72-inch reach. And to me, that's really the key to the fight is Earl's jab. Both good body punchers. Both cut the ring off pretty well. Both got solid jabs. Both at most will throw 4 punches, 3-4 punch combination. They both got good hooks, good straight straight punches. Both pretty technically sound. Um, just the only difference is Earl Spence likes to work after the jab. Ugas is more of a counter puncher, so he likes to pressure you into throwing punches and him countering off that. So that's kind of the real main difference between their styles. Is he kind of, because of his pressure, he kind of traps his opponents into, kind of throwing get off me punches, and he can counter off of that. Whereas Earl Spence likes to work off the jab, go to the body, stuff of that nature. So I think you got two pretty strong welterweights. Both have respectable power. I don't think there will be a stoppage. Could be, but I just don't see it. Earl hasn't stopped anyone in 4 years. And it's hard, especially once you're kind of drained, competition's going up. So, Ugas is on a hot streak right now. It could happen. I assume he's definitely going to try for the knockout if the opportunity comes, but I don't see a knockout happening. I think it's going to be a decision win. I do think it's going to be competitive. Like I said, the key for the fight for Earl Spence is the jab. Now, I've never actually seen Ugas fight on the back foot too much, so I trust Earl Spence will be able to fight off the back foot a little bit better than Ugas. At least he'll be able to turn him, use angles and spots. But again, I don't think either guy has a footwork advantage. I don't even think there's an athletic advantage, to be honest. Ugas is a little bit older, but Earl's kind of weight drained, so that kind of slows you down too. So I don't think either guy has a speed advantage. I think Earl's a pretty good sharpshooter. Ugas is a good sharpshooter. To me, it's, I wouldn't try to use volume to beat Ugas, because that's what counterpunchers want. They want you to throw more punches so they can counter you. So I think Earl Spence has to fight Ugas kind of like how he fought Lamont Peterson, and just work behind the jab, be a sharpshooter, more like a pure boxer puncher. Not so much volume like he did versus Mikey and Danny Garcia, who are both very good counter punchers. But, Mikey had the right idea, but he was too short. He didn't have the dimensions. Danny Garcia is like a pure counter puncher. So he solely wants you to work off him, whereas at least Ugas has a decent jab to score points. So it's tricky, man. I think it's a better fight than people think. A lot of people think Earl's going to steamroll him. He might, but I have a feeling the fight's going to be pretty competitive. I've yet to see anyone just dog walk a Cuban in his prime. I just haven't really seen it, at least not on that level. So, man, I'm having a hard time picking. I think Earl's going to win. Yeah, I think Ugas is going to have a hard time taking Earl's jab away. If Earl's able to pick him off behind the jab, then yeah, he probably should win a pretty comfortable decision. But if he's not able to get off the jab, then I think you got a pretty 50-50 fight. I think Ugas is going to land some good body shots. I think he's going to have his moments and spurts, but not consistently. I think Earl's jab will be good enough to score and edge him in some close rounds. Both good body punchers, so I think they both going to hurt each other to the body. I think Earl's going to win a very tactful, competitive, unanimous decision, something like 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4-ish. I think it's going to be pretty competitive. It's going to be a technical fight, but it's going to be busy. Kind of like the first Charlo fight with Harrison, or Nuwai versus Donaire. Even Triple G and Ryota Murata, which happened last Saturday. Kind of more of a technical chess match, but still busy. I don't think there's going to be too many dull moments. I think both guys are going to be fairly active, but I think Earl's just going to edge him. I think the jab is really going to be the key for him. I don't see Ugas is not a guy that uses movement, takes away, angles and stuff like that. The only way I see him taking the jab away from Earl is jab with him or to counter him over the top. Because sometimes Earl can get pretty lazy bringing his jab hand back, but I think he's going to be pretty sharp tonight or tomorrow. So I'm gonna say Ugas is competitive, but I think Earl's gonna get the job done. It's gonna be competitive. Yeah, like I said, 8 rounds to 4. Undercard is decent. Cody Crowley versus Josito Lopez is on the undercard. 2 pressure fighters. Again, that's another fight. Josito Lopez with Robert Garcia is a little more technically sound. His jab is probably going to be the money punch. But he is facing a southpaw like Crowley, so jab and right hand. Crowley's very busy, throws punches in bunches. So that's a pretty good fight. You got 2 pressure fighters, but I might lean with Josito Lopez. But, the youth and the volume of a younger fighter. If Crowley can get Josito Lopez to go at an uncomfortable pace, then I can see Crowley beating him. So I think that's another competitive fight. You got Raz Stab Batuev. I'm sorry, I'm slaughtering the name. Solid fighter, good puncher. I think he trains with Joel Diaz, good trainer. Fighting Stayonis. Thought he lost to Thomas Delorme. Not very impressed with him. He's just basic power puncher. I think him and his team said they're not taking step-aside money for Earl Spence Crawford or whatever, Earl Spence Keith Thurman. So I don't think it's going to matter anyway. I think he's going to lose regardless. So, whatever. He could punch, but he seems like just a basic power puncher. Really like Floyd Mayweather says, no special effects. So I don't think it's going to matter. I think Razfab's probably going to stop him in the probably late middle rounds, especially if he goes to the body. So it is what it is. But $75 Showtime. I'm not buying it. Not buying no pay-per-views until I get fights I want. Spence Crawford, Charlo Benavidez, Canelo Benavidez, fights like that. So until I start seeing fights like that, I'm not buying no more pay-per-views, dude. It's just, I think boxing fans are kind of having a stand of, not buying these pay-per-views. I'm not going to be doing like super reporting or nothing like that, but pay-per-view numbers have been absolute garbage. There are no stars in boxing outside of Canelo and Anthony Joshua, so unless you're those two, you shouldn't be on pay-per-view regardless. Unless you're their B-side. So I don't even know why people are bothered about pay-per-views and stuff like that. Like, unless your name's Canelo Alvarez or Anthony Joshua, who cares? You don't belong on pay-per-view anyway. So a lot of good fighters, but you guys haven't done enough. You're not popular enough to warrant pay-per-view. So A-side, B-side, and all that extra garbage is honestly bullshit. So that is what it is, but I got Earl Spence, competitive unanimous decision. But don't be shocked if Ugas, upsets the apple card. Earl's going to go for the knockout. I just don't see a stoppage, bro. He might, but I just don't see it. But we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. You're going to watch the fight, you're going to buy it, you're going to boycott it, you're going to stream it, you're going to go to it. Drop it in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Take it easy.